Do you have a favorite blanket for overlanding? Hi, everybody, and I'm Rob, and this is Storm Crow Overland. We talk about going on adventures, road tripping, camping, and just generally getting out and enjoying life. Now, on this week's episode, we're going to talk about something that seems kind of juvenile, seems kind of silly, but it's something I realized that's kind of important to me, and it's the blankets I take overlanding. Yeah, laugh it up, have fun. I got to have my blankie. Uh, but I realized I was trying to think of something to talk about for the episode, and I have two blankets that I take on every trip. In fact, one of them lives in my car 24/7. That's where it stays. And the other one is one of the first things I pack for any trip. Uh, and they come in really handy. And I never really thought about how useful they are and how much I kind of rely on them when I'm on trips. So we'll start off. I'm just going to kind of tell you about the two, then we'll talk about them themselves. The first is the good old military issue. What's that? Liner, wet weather poncho. It's the poncho liner, the Whoopee. I love mine. I will show you. If you do not know what it is, I will show you in a little bit. And we'll talk about it. And the other one, I'm not sure technically what the name is. I've heard it called a Mexican blanket, an Indian blanket, a falsa blanket, a yoga blanket. We'll get into that. But they're just so handy, and I can't wait to show them to you and tell you why I think they're handy. So, real quick, we're gonna go and I'm gonna show you where they live in my rig, and go ahead and get them out. All right, up first is the poncho liner. It usually lives back here in the drawer system. It's nice. It packs up a nice small little bag. It's like the size of two Nalgene bottles. Like I said, and we'll talk about it in a second when we go up to the front, and I'm gonna get the other blanket out for you and show it to you. So 1 second. All right, and the other blanket is the Mexican blanket, and it's the one that lives in my vehicle all the time. The poncho liner, I pack it if I'm going on a trip, but this poncho liner, I mean this Mexican blanket, just lives in the vehicle. Let me show you where I keep it real quick. So basically, back here behind the back seat, it's between the back of the back seat and my drawer system. It just lives back here, rolled up. That way, I always have it if I need it. Okay, now that we have the actual blankets out, we'll start with the poncho liner, the Whoopee. You'll hear me call it both things. I love this thing. This actually was the one I was issued when I was in the military. I kept it. We're not going to talk about how I kept it, but I still have it. If you don't know anything about these are really neat. They came out during Vietnam, and they were originally made with old parachute with old parachutes, and they would put inside just like nylon kind of insulation stuff. I guess the technical term would be batting, and it's quilted to kind of keep everything in place. And the idea was it was just a nice soft, and it really is. This something about this material is just so nice. Um, but it's a kind of a soft insulating layer. You could combine it. It's got little strings at different points all the way around that you could integrate it in with the actual poncho to make kind of a makeshift sleeping bag that you could get into and out of real quick. But what's great about these is, one, they're super comfortable. This is just super smooth, soft material. They're very lightweight, easy to clean. They dry fast. If I'm going out camping and it's going to be above 50 degrees at night, I probably don't even take a sleeping bag most of the time. I just take this and use it as a blanket. It makes a great blanket. It really does. It's big enough. I think it's like 5 feet by 7 feet or something, that you can actually double it up. Like I said, that's how you make the improvised kind of sleeping bag with it. But never really done that. Like I said, I just use it as a blanket, kind of as a lightweight quilt. But it's also great if you are going to like a football game or something. You want something light you can carry to kind of wrap around you and possibly somebody with you, because it's big enough for that. If it's just going to be a little chilly out, If you're just going to be out and need some kind of lightweight blanket that can get wet too, perfect for that. Like I said, I'm not doing bushcrafty stuff, so I'm not carrying it and the poncho and trying to make the little makeshift sleeping bedroll thing. It's more just a comfort item, and for me, it really is a comfort item. I've used this in multiple countries around the world to sleep with. It's kind of just like a morale item for me. It's something that's familiar and makes me happy. It's not the end all be all of things that I need to carry, but I like it, so I take it. Um, it's real similar to some of the more expensive backpacking quilts that are out there, or um, other kind of like outdoor blankets. It's similar to like the rumple blankets. Those have a little more insulation in them than these. This is pretty thin. Um, there is a company out there that makes, it's, like I said, these are the nickname for these is a Whoopee. The company that I'm referring to makes what they call a doobie, and it's the same general thing, but with twice as much insulation in it. So it's going to be a little bit heavier. It's not going to back down quite as small, but it's still pretty close, and it's a lot warmer. And I want one, but they're kind of expensive. These are pretty cheap. You can pick surplus of these up for like 30, 40 bucks. Um, this particular one, a dog we were taking care of kind of got after it and ate part of it. And I really should replace it. And I keep saying I'm going to, but like I said, this was mine. It's been around the world with me, so I'm going to keep it. Um, some of the cons with this, and there's not a lot, it's really only lightweight insulation. So if it's going to be chilly, it's not going to do the job by itself. You're going to want an actual sleeping bag. It does work good if, say you've got a 30-degree bag and it's actually going to be 30 degrees out and you're going to be cold. You'll survive. We all know how the ratings work on sleeping bags. This is great to have a little extra insulation if you need it, or if somebody came with you and they weren't quite as prepared, you've got something to give them a little extra insulation. But by itself, it's really not great past 55, 60 degrees. Depends on what your tolerance is for cold. And the other thing is, this is all synthetic material. So I would not want to wrap up in it around a campfire. You get a little ember, a little spark or something, and it's just going to melt this. The outside, the inside, it's all synthetic. That'd be horrible. I wouldn't want that to happen. So this, for me, this is not around campfires, mainly for that reason. So like I said, that's the poncho liner, the Whoopee. Love mine. Always take it when I go places. And now we're going to move on to the Indian blanket, Mexican blanket, whatever. I don't know. I've heard them called all kinds of different things. When I was a kid, I grew up in Texas, and we would go down to Mexico to little markets, and this is the kind of stuff you would buy. You would buy blankets like these, you would buy rain sticks, knockoff Oakley sunglasses. It was the 90s, that was the thing. But yeah, so I grew up having these around, still love having them around. My wife's a yoga instructor, and she has probably 24 of these that she takes to yoga classes for them to use for different things, or just to use as a blanket when they're laying there doing meditation and stuff. I like them because for me, this is very multi-purpose. This is kind of just one purpose. This is just going to keep me warm, or warm-ish, depending, as long as it's not too cold. This is very multi-purpose for me. It's very soft. It's very comfortable. Works great as a blanket. I mean, that's what it is. It is a blanket. Because it's not synthetic like the Whoopee, this is really good for wrapping up around a campfire to stay warm. You don't have to worry about this melting. The other thing with these is they get softer the longer you have them. The more you wash them and dry them and use them and kind of, have them get beat around, they just get softer over time. So they just kind of keep getting better. They work really good if you're at the beach or trying to do a picnic somewhere to put down for everybody to sit on. It makes a great picnic blanket. And the other thing I found with these that kind of weird, but it works. We like playing in the water. We've got kayaks and paddle boards, and we're always out at the lake. We almost always forget towels, and this is nice because the way the material it's made of, the fabric and stuff, This will actually make a halfway decent towel if someone, if you get wet, especially if someone gets real wet and they're cold. This is great to wrap them up in. Helps dry them off. Kind of get some warmth in them. Works really good for that. Like I said, awesome for picnics. Just something to sit on. I like the Whoopee. These are really easy to clean. They don't dry super fast, but they're pretty decent. And that's why this lives in my car all the time. If I want to pull over and have a picnic spot, or need somewhere to sit down, or if we're at the beach, whatever it is, these work great. And the best thing is they're cheap. These are 15, 20 bucks on Amazon all day. They're warm, they're comfy. A lot of the ones we've bought at truck stops because they always seem to have a weird little folksy section with like knockoff Native American art and stuff, and then they always have blankets. And one day, it is definitely on my bucket list. I really, 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 I'm getting closer. I really want to go drive the whole Baja Peninsula in the 4Runner. Take the wife with me. We've talked about it. We're getting closer to it. And that will be one of the things I want to get. I don't have any of these from when I was a kid, and we actually would go to Mexico and get them. They're all just gone because they weren't special then. I was a kid. I didn't know any better. I would love to. That would be the perfect souvenir when I go down to if/when I get to go drive Baja. Pick one of these up actually in Mexico. Maybe get one that like is the same general color as the 4Runner if I can. These come in so many colors and variations and patterns, and but yeah, that would be a cool souvenir. So that's gonna have to happen one day, and then it'll be kind of like the Whoopee, where this is a morale thing. It reminds me of good times and being deployed and being out with friends, and this will be the same way. Like I said, right now this is just one I got at a truck stop that is just useful. But then if I can get the one I wanted to be special, and I like having things that are special. It just helps with memories and stuff. But might be kind of a short episode. Just life's busy. It's hard to film. It's hot outside. I'm not doing a whole lot because it's hot outside. But hopefully this was interesting for y'all, and hopefully y'all didn't have to hear my neighbor's horn honking. I don't know what he's doing. But if you're watching this on YouTube, realize we also release the audio as a podcast. You can find it wherever good podcasts are found. Just search Storm Crow Overland. If you're listening to this as a podcast, also realize we released a video on YouTube. Just search Storm Crow Overland. And finally, you can find us on Instagram at, you guessed it, Storm Crow Overland. It's the same thing everywhere. All one word, no spaces, nothing weird. So if you've got any comments or questions, I would really appreciate if you reached out to me. Topic ideas, anything like that, any kind of like, comment, follow, subscribe, any of that stuff on any of those platforms. That's always appreciated. Love hearing from people. I've been hearing from people more this last couple of weeks. And it's really neat when people reach out, and it's not people I've met yet. And so hopefully we'll get to see more of that. If you are in the Oklahoma City area and you see this in time, this video is coming out on the morning of the 26th. If you see this in time, that evening, the Wednesday the 26th, that evening, we're going to meet up, just some of us for a quick happy hour social kind of get together at Fassler Hall in downtown Oklahoma City. If you're interested at all, send me a message if you see this in time and you haven't already heard about it. I've tried to have it on Facebook some, but if you aren't in some of the Facebook groups, you may not have seen it. So if you're interested in that, reach out and we'll see if we can get you there. I'm sure we'll do more little, just kind of, this is not like a come meet and greet Storm Crow Overland. This is just it's actually part of OKC Overland. We just hadn't met up lately, so we're going to meet up, have a beer, have a pretzel, hang out. See what everybody's been up to, see what their plans are for the fall. I want to talk to people about rendezvous in the Ozarks, that kind of stuff. Maybe start making some plans. It's really all I have for you this week. So I guess sometimes you have to go out and get lost and take your favorite blankets before you can find yourself. Thanks for watching.